joined by the stutter studs, cause he casts off all the demons. They say, girl, why you gotta be so mean? I say, fuck being the princess, I'm the motherfucking queen. And I know what I mean. They say, girl, why you gotta grow so cold? I said, listen, little boy, let's go over and over.
Yay! Woo, woo, woo!
Some good old-fashioned protest movement up in here. Anybody feeling the 60s? Nice. Yeah. Oh, I have tingles. My parents did so much LSD that I joke that in the womb I was like, strawberry fields forever. So when she's there, I'm just like, ooh, I'm back in the commune. Oh, it's so good to see your faces. So we have someone here that's just really special, and we have a bunch of people here, but we, as you know, we have marchers all over this state who are just involved in action year-round, and one of our chapters here is represented is Women's March San Diego. And I would love for Monica to come on up and talk to us about what's happening in San Diego. Is she in the front? Yeah. All right. I'll switch gears. Why don't we? No, I think she'll come up. It's not that far away. Monica, come on up.
Yay!
What's going on to the south, girl?
Lots of good things. I am so pleased to be here. I am the representative from Women's March San Diego. We have a pretty active group down in San Diego. And we put on 2 really successful marches. The first year in 2017 was, over 100,000. It was a little surprising to us all. We then followed up with a march in 2018 and had 60 to 70,000 at least. We were really, really pleased.
Wow!
This has been an incredible journey. It's a group of, right now we have approximately 8 or 9 women that are working as directors, taking on certain tasks, whether it's partnerships or events, fundraising. It's a group of very diverse women that have gotten together because they believe that the work of a women's march is important. And we've built a great community of trust amongst the group, and we're just really excited about what we're doing here in San Diego, down in San Diego. But another part of our work is really interacting with our sister chapters. We're really excited to be a part of the Women's March California, and we were really pleased when the efforts can be extended to other communities. We love it when we can interact with these other communities. We learn, we're able to share our experiences and recognize some of the differences that are present throughout California. I'm really very excited about the launch today. I want to, welcome you as a representative of San Diego. Welcome you to today, and congratulations.
Yay!
So I have the oldest car in the parking lot right now, but if we throw an event in Temecula, will anyone give me a ride and invite Women's March San Diego? That's what I'm talking about. I live in Moreno Valley. You can pick me up. All right. So our headliner is about to come up. And This woman is incredible. She's an award-winning event producer who's produced events like the Coachella Music Festival, you know, a little gathering, you may have heard of it. Yeah. And she brought that skill set to the movement. And anyone know how many marchers were at the first Women's March California, the first Women's March Los Angeles?
500?
750,000.
Holy jeez. Ooh.
It was the largest march that day in the world. Washington doesn't like to hear that, but we'll just... Because we had 1 million marchers, right? We were able to start our own organization called Women's March California. So the founder of Women's March Los Angeles was elected as our Women's March California president, and she is absolutely incredible. Can I welcome up Guereca?
Hi everybody, I'm Guereca. My whole name is Emiliana. I was supposed to be named after Emiliano Zapata.
Zapata!
I wanted a boy. So I've been fighting for equality from both. I am one of 13 kids. I am a first generation Mexican. I'm not going to say Mexican American because I have just turned citizenship not too long ago. So I'm going to give you a little bit about a story of who I am and how and why I decided to engage in a protest, which is what I was engaging in. So I grew up in Chicago. I grew up. Sorry, what part of Chicago? Rogers Park. My brother lives there.
The crowd goes wild.
Cicero. Oh, you moved up, Plainfield. My sister lives in Cicero, and I have a brother in Plainfield. So Logan Square. Yes. Yes. So I grew up on the south side, and then we moved into Pilsen. Yes, so like I said, I'm one of 13 kids. I am the 7th child, which means I'm right in the middle, problem child. So we grew up, you know, super poor, like seriously poor. But my mom always had a sense of community. I mean, you're talking about, we sometimes didn't have food to eat. We didn't have food. But she would say, let's go see if our neighbors need anything. I'm like, we need it. But in her head, we had our health and we had our family and we had everything, right? So I sort of grew up in that manner where you were there to serve your community and your community will serve you in time of need. So I am the first in my family to attend university. But everyone after me has attended. It takes one, right? So, and I mean, now I'm going to give you a story of how I ended up in LA. So not knowing the rules, my parents did not speak English. I remember filling out the application of like income, and I'm like, whose income? Like, there's like 14 of us here. So, and you know, having that application and turn it into DePaul University, and they accept me at DePaul University. And I have no idea how I'm going to pay for it because I have no idea what a student loan is. And so, you know, I embark on waiting tables at night and going to school. And so my second year at DePaul, I was like, it's cold in Chicago, I'm out. I applied for a transfer at UCLA. And I received a letter that said that they were no longer taking out-of-state students. I had no idea what that meant, but I called and I said, "Hi, are you taking in-state students?" She said, "Yes. we still are taking in-state students. I got in my car, put my cat in there, and drove to UCLA. Her name was Pauline. I was at her desk on Monday telling her I was in state. And she said, I mean, that's not quite how it works. And I would not leave her office until I was accepted at that semester. I was not going to tell my mom I was not returning to college, right? And so I let her know that, and I was there for 6 hours, and I got accepted. So now I need to find a job. So I end up waiting tables at our restaurant on my 3rd day, close to campus, close to UCLA, which is where I ate because everything was there for me. I finished my education in mass media communications. I wanted to be in advertising. And along the way, I ended up purchasing the restaurant that I waited tables at. I grew it into a chain. I now co-own 2 chains of restaurants. But I didn't want to work at a restaurant, so I decided that I was going to produce music festivals. Wow, was I in for it. So I opened up an event production company and started to produce community events that then moved into bigger events. I've produced Firefly and Coachella. And then as I am working and, I'm living the supposed American dream, right? And here comes 2016 and I'm listening to all of this stuff and I'm thinking, there's no way, right? There's no way this person gets elected. We're smarter than this. Or so I thought, right? So I am, listening to it. My mom's listening to it, and she lives in Chicago, and she said, well, we need to start getting ready for the roundups. I said, what is the roundup? She said, the deportation of illegal aliens. She said, remember when we were gone for 3 months? Yeah, we were deported. So my parents had a history already of knowing what was to come, right? And so I'm like, okay, again, I'm thinking that's not going to happen. So as everything is coming, here comes the election. I am hosting the saddest party ever because we're wearing pantsuits on the night of the election. And it felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath us. It felt like how you feel as a female walking into a boardroom and someone saying you're not qualified enough because you are a female, right? So I was like, devastated. Who else was devastated? Yeah, it felt like a death in the family. That's where we were. And so I've always been a doer, and it's maybe because I have anxiety, but I opened up a Facebook page at the same time that the women in DC opened up a page for a march. And I didn't know who was going to join. The second day, November 9th, I took out a permit from the city of LA saying we were going to march. They were like, march for what? March for equal rights. Like, the best person wasn't elected, right? So I decided to embark on this, and within a few days, LA had like people saying they would join us, people emailing me of what can I do? I didn't know what I needed them to do. So I was like, come out, just come out, just join me, otherwise it's gonna be me and my little cup of coffee. So as the weeks progressed, and everyone that organized with us that first march, we were all strangers. I didn't know anyone. The Dina Katz, my co-executive director, was the producer of Dancing with the Stars. And John Erickson worked with Planned Parenthood. So everyone had different skill sets and brought along. But what was really interesting to me were the women that really brought forth these strengths that thought were weaknesses. Women that said, I can only do this. What is that only thing? I'm an artist. She painted murals that were like gigantic, right? The lady that told me, I can only make tacos. And ended up in our VIP section just making tacos. We're like, Bono. We never left the line. But like, to me, it's like, where are we that we think that we have no skill set? You have a skill set. And deep within you, we all have a skill set. We all need to have the confidence to say, this is what I do. I'm good at it. Or, as my sister said, I'm getting there, right? So I think that, like today being Women's Equality Day, I think that we need to look at what our strengths are and make sure that we work with that, right? And not to belittle ourselves of, I can only do this. I'm just this. No, you are, right? So I think that that's important when we talk about building a chapter and in an empire. Talking about we are building from our strength. We have strengths. Do we have weaknesses? Sure. But we're building upon stuff, right? I want to talk about support because we saw San Diego here. I'm from LA. Lee's our anchor in LA. So I want to talk about what we're looking to do, and I want to say that California currently has 14 Women's March chapters.
Woohoo!
And each chapter has its own unique way about them because we are there to serve our community. We are here to support our community, and our community will support us. So I want to make sure that we always keep that in mind. I want to answer questions as to what does it mean to be a chapter? Why am I even here today, right? So I want to answer questions. We have built Women's March California to support all of these chapters. And in support, we show up at events. We may fund the events. Right? We are all working towards equality. And for me especially, equity. Because without equity, we don't have equality. If you can't pay me the same amount as a man, I'm not equal. So when we talk about support, we talk about supporting our chapters from the bottom up, right? We are all volunteers for Women's March California, but we use our strengths. We have some people that are great fundraisers, some people that are great connectors. We have some people that are great musicians, artists. We have people that will run our websites. Again, all working within our strengths. So I want to answer any questions you may have about what does it mean to launch a chapter. Questions?
Basically that.
What does it mean to launch a chapter? Yes. So, and what it means to launch a chapter is that we will be working under the Women's March banner, under the unity principles. We will elect leadership that will represent our community. What does that mean? We usually have a calendar of events and actions that we produce. And if the action fits your community, then your chapter will decide to join in that action. For example, today we had Stop Kavanaugh. Some cities marched, some cities held films, some cities sent out postcards, and this city decided to launch a chapter. So a chapter means that you will work within the unity principles of Women's March, and that you will work in coordination. We host weekly calls, weekly strategic calls, and to make sure that our mission of equality gets moved forward. right? Within the unity principles that we have.
And what are those unity principles?
They're long.
I can recite them.
She can recite them. Yeah.
Yeah, do it right now.
And I can answer questions.
If I forget one, chirp in. All right. Women's March follows a set of unity principles. If you want to be part of Women's March and you believe in all these unity principles, this is your place, this is your family. If you don't believe in all of them, we wish you well, and there's all kinds of other work you can be doing. So, did that sound like, where's the door?
That's so unity. That's so unified.
Sorry, guys. All right. Some people do need to go. Anyway. Okay, so as a Women's March, we believe in women's rights. We believe in civil rights. We believe in environmental justice. We believe in LGBTQIA rights. I'm on the spectrum, I should get that right. We believe in an end to violence. We believe in disability rights. We believe in, I think I got them all.
Workers' rights.
And workers' rights.
Thank you,
And
CWA.
this is so important here in the Inland Empire, where we have a distribution center economy, where people aren't making ends meet, right? So those are our unity principles. And if those all sound really good to you, again, we are your people. This is your family.
And we protect it.
I forgot one, and this will segue into, we have a Stop Kavanaugh Center. The reason we have a Stop Kavanaugh Center is because if we look at Kavanaugh's background, we know that he will end Roe. We know that he could sabotage the ACA. We know that he will return back the environmental protections that made our air cleaner here in California. We're not willing to go back on any of those things. We're going forward. And so we have a center, and we love for you to take pictures. And the last of the unity principles, which I forgot, was reproductive rights.
And that's important because I've had people from across the country ask to start a chapter, but they do not believe in reproductive rights. Right? So for me, I'm like,
There's the door.
No, I will send an email where you sign off on all of the unity principles. And we are starting with unity principles, but eventually the 5-year plan for Women's March will be political power, will be policy, will be putting women in office, right? So we will, because everybody says, well, there's Emily's list. Emily's list doesn't tell you how to get there. Emily's list will reward you with an endorsement when you get there. How do we get there? So we plan on building that political power by helping women run for office. Currently, Women's March California has 4 women running for office that started as volunteers. And as of yesterday, one of our young volunteers is Eve Levinson, is working for Senator Feinstein's office in DC, out of LA. So that's our ultimate goal, because again, equity.
How do you divide, and how do you know what chapter is where? Like, I'm in Colton. Is it San Bernardino, the full county? Is that how you?
So we've decided by counties and by zip codes. That would be Inland Empire. But of course, you can. For example, we have 2 women that come out to organize with us from San Diego, right? You can join one of your chapters, hopefully your local one. It is by county and zip code. We try and figure out where everyone is at. For example, San Diego has a small, what they call a huddle, because they're a little bit far from the chapter. LA has auto huddles where they're in Pasadena, they're 2 hours away. But we communicate and move an action forward together. Right, so it's by county and zip code we look at, and if there's already a chapter there, we would introduce you to the chapter that is there.
So because you're starting here in Colton, or you can have a chapter that's located here, or are you guys moving it to something else? I'm just curious.
No, that is considered the Inland Empire
Right.
chapter.
So let me talk on that. We're live. I will live you guys. So the Inland Empire, just in case you all don't know. Oh, thank you. She's gonna be my cameraman. Turn around. Okay. Camera woman. My bad. The Inland Empire. The region is defined as San Bernardino and Riverside counties, and it extends all the way from the high desert to the low desert, San Diego, and it goes all the way to the state line, and then to the county line where we bid up against LA County and in Riverside against Orange County. So we know that there are folks that kind of align with low desert, high desert, the Palm Springs, but we are as a region, we are considered together Ontario, Montclair, Riverside, Ontario, Riverside metro area, and we are the 4th largest metro area in the state. So LA, Bay Area, San Diego, and then us. So it is Inland Empire. The march has been for the last 2 years in Riverside. We are looking to do it again in Riverside. We were looking to include as much of the other events in San Bernardino. So it is very apparent that we are cohesive as the IE. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so, and then to support the surrounding areas where it may be difficult to travel. Just in San Bernardino County alone, we know the drive is 3 to 4 hours from one end to another. And then from the top of San Bernardino to the bottom of Riverside, that's a 5-hour, 6-hour drive, right? And so we have to figure out a way to come together. And so that is where we're going to start with the Inland Empire chapter. We hope to make it as accessible as possible. We hope to partner with our labor partners so that we have union halls across the area that we can meet with and join together with, so that we don't put anyone out in particular when we meet together a couple times a year, and then we will work together by phone, by conference call, to connect and make sure that no one gets left out. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, there we are.
Answer any other questions you may have? Questions?
I have a question. Are there any events that are scheduled that, in advance of the November election? Because we have to decide whether or not we're going to defend our democracy, or we want to hand this thing over to dictators. So there's some work to do.
There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. So there are things planned. Did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, sure. That's okay. Yeah.
But there are.
All right, so there are so many partners in the Inland Empire who are doing great work. Raise your hand if you're involved in an indivisible group. Okay? We have a couple people here who work for Planned Parenthood. Raise your hand. Okay? Anybody volunteer with Sister District? Okay? Swing Left? Act Local? Okay. I could go on and on.
Our Revolution?
Our Revolution, Kansas Nation. And so we have so many different groups that are doing work. And one of the things that Women's March chapters do is they constantly partner with these groups, amplify, help them, and work with them. So there are going to be a number of events that are before the election, and we'll constantly be putting those on our Facebook page. But in addition to that, we have a couple big things going on. Women's March California is going to have a panel at Politicon, and so we're going to get together a carpool so that we can be at that event. We're hoping.
Get a bus out there.
We're going to get a bus. She just said we're going to get a bus. Okay, so we're going to get a bus to go to Politicon. Okay. We have someone who's going to talk for a minute about we might be trying to do an Act Local event, which is a training and also a resistance boot camp. And then also there's very likely going to be a TEDx sponsored by California Women's March here in the Inland Empire. So there are going to be a number of events that will be happening constantly. We hope to stagger them around the Inland Empire. And we also hope to connect closely with our sisters who work in the Palm Springs huddle. And so they have a women's march huddle that does great work. And so we need to be working with everyone across inland Southern California. And so there will be many, many events coming up. And it won't just be our next march, which, by the way, is January 19th. The theme is Truth to Power. Okay? And so we would love for you to all be there, and we'd like to extend our music and for the march and so on. But there'll be a number of events, and we'll keep posting them. And if you have an event you would like to launch, if you have an idea, we will make it happen.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I think your question is moving into the midterms. I think that we need to talk about registering voters. We need to talk about getting voters out. We need to talk about really, really, really knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way we're going to get them out. And I think we're going to talk about Resistance Boot Camp, which is a training that will teach you how to phone bank, how to text bank, how to knock on doors, how to persuade people to come out, right? We've started a commit to vote program. And somebody told me, this commit, what do you mean commit? Well, most people are registered. They are just not showing up. So when you commit and you sign that little thing that you commit, I'm going to email you and I'm going to call you. So you say, I'm going to show up, leave me alone. So that's some of the stuff that we are working on. We, across the state, have registered over 150,000 students. So that is key. The other thing that we hope to implement in the beginning of November, right before the elections, is a mock voting class. Because first-generation voters and first-time voters are intimidated. Think about it. You're gonna go in, you're gonna be in a box, and you don't remember yes or no on this ballot. All you remember is that one person's commercial you saw. So we are going to do that. And statistics show for us that people are starting to vote. This past June 5th, we had a 26% uptick of people showing up to vote, but they showed up in groups. So it's social. So we need to be able to harness that and to bring 5 to 10 people with us to the poll. We need to be able to do that. Otherwise, they're going to say, oh yeah, I showed up. Where's your sticker? That's just me guilting my parents. Any other questions?
So, when do we start? Are we going to have meetings?
Well, I think you want to start now, but yes. So Jenn and Bobbi Joe will be able to talk about what they are looking for as far as leadership, what they are looking for as far as actions, because they're obviously not going to have actions every week. Keep in mind, we are volunteers. We have full-time jobs and kids, right? So her vision is for Inland Empire. I'm here to support her, but they have a vision for Inland Empire.
Thank you, Annie.
Let's give her a round of applause. So as we move forward, we gathered your email addresses when you either signed up or you entered, and we're going to keep those secure. They won't be given to any third party. We're only going to be using them to get out a newsletter. And so in addition to the news that you get on perhaps Facebook, Inland Empire, Women's March Inland Empire, you'll also get a newsletter with information. And moving forward, we'll have monthly video conference, and we will be asking people to join the chapter as members and come to those meetings and events. And then we'll be asking people to join the board and also run for office. And I mentioned earlier that'll be chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. And so we're going to send you some information, and we'll be sending you when our next meeting is. And again, we're going to stagger where we are meeting in different locations. And if you ever have a transportation issue or anything like that, please let us know. We would like everyone to be involved. And so we'll be communicating with you about our next steps. And we look forward to seeing you in the future. And as we wrap up today, a couple things. We're going to have one more speaker, and then we're going to have some music. And while we have a little bit more music, we would like for you to mingle, get to know people, because one of the most important aspects of organizing is rapport building and developing relationships. Please do not leave here without getting the contact information from at least one person. Network. Make friends. This is hard work, and you need support. So I'm going to call up one more person who's going to join us, and she's going to speak about wellness. And the reason she's going to speak about wellness is a lot of us are tired. Anybody tired? Anybody have compassion fatigue? Anyone have like trauma syndrome? So, I mean, this is really, really hard work. I had an opportunity to go to the United States of Women, and Tarina Burke spoke. And she's the founder of the Me Too movement. And she talked about how one of the most important radical things you can do is to take care of yourself and to live the best life you can and to find joy, right? So we're going to have Karen join us right now, and she's going to talk about wellness for our activists. So Karen, thank you so much. If you could introduce us.
Thank you, Jenn. I feel so honored to be here. I'm a huge fan of the marches in Riverside. You know, I live in sort of Claremont Upland, which is border between LA County and San Bernardino County. And I went to DC for the first Women's March, but next year I went to Riverside, and Riverside has become my favorite marching location. Because it's great. I mean, we can actually sort of feel the community with each other in Riverside. And Jenn has done an amazing job. I'm just like a fangirl, seriously. So I really want to thank you for, you know, cred to the IE and to all that you have built here. I feel really, really honored to be here. I want to pass out just a couple of flyers that I brought. You know, no organizer is complete without their flyers to pass out. And I have two. I have the flyer for the upcoming Resistance Boot Camp, which, you know, thank you to whoever sort of planted that plug for Resistance Boot Camp. So this is a training kind of coalition that came together that Women's March LA is helping sponsor and support. Thank you, Emmy. Emmy has been amazing and invaluable. But we did one event in April that is basically just really focused on electoral engagement and electoral contact. So just no kind of frills training on canvassing, phone banking, voter persuasion, how to have a good conversation at the door. What am I missing? Voter registration. And then sort of bookended with some really fun community building. So a rally in the beginning to fire everybody up, and, you know, we're sort of echoing. We're inviting all the candidates this time to the Orange County one, since Orange County is sort of smack in the middle of a lot of the swing districts that we need to flip. So we're going to have some great speakers. And then when you get trained, the idea is that you take your new skills and you sign up immediately for a canvassing or a phone banking event or whatever you can do. And every time you sign up, you get a raffle ticket. And so that, you know, basically the more events you sign up for, the better your chances of winning cool prizes. Like, you know, this time we have backstage tickets to Conan O'Brien. And of course, hopefully we'll have some Women's March swag. That's always a favorite. And then food trucks. And so it's a great time. And if you want to come to the September 8th event, you'll see what it's all about. And so I'm partially here because I saw Jenn's post kind of plugging Resistance Boot Camp and the idea to bring it to the IE, which I think is just a fantastic idea. So we're going to make that happen. and you know, train everybody out here. So I'm going to pass out these flyers, and you can just kind of, you know, spread them down. Is a little postcard for Act Local, which is a national network that I'm a part of also. And so this is just some general information about Act Local, and also our directory project, which it's a national network, but the idea is to really focus on regional organizing, like exactly what you guys are doing, because it's the regions where people can build community, and you know, sort of the driving distance theory is sort of the way I put it. You know, you can really go to each other's events and amplify each other within that region. So Act Local grew out of that need to sort of, you know, have the Swing Left chapter talk to the Women's March chapter, talk to the, you know, Indivisible chapter within that region, so everybody can be coordinated and build power for the community. That's what it's about. So if you go to the actlocal.network website, you'll see some of the events that we've done in the past. So did you go to the first Act Local event, I think? In November 2017, we did the first one, and it's sort of like, kind of like Resistance Boot Camp on steroids, if that's an appropriate analogy. We had like 30-something breakout sessions, but it's basic. Part of the idea is to bring new activists together with the experienced activists to learn from each other, and we have so much talent and rich experience in this community, and then there are people that are just sort of newly activated after 2016 and ongoing. So we're learning from each other, we're building power and building community. And so one of the projects for Act Local National is to build regional pages so that we can all find each other. So that's hopefully going to happen. We'll work together in Women's March Inland Empire to help make that happen. So log into the website and come to boot camp, and we'll give you more details. I think we have a date, right? September 22nd, if I think that we decided for Resistance Boot Camp. I've been talking to the RBC team to bring our Swing Left trainers and good stuff out to the IE. So I think that's the date. So save the date now, September 22nd. I'm pretty sure, if that's the Saturday that we're talking about. So I took way too long to talk about all that, but I am also a yoga teacher, and I do care about wellness for activists. Even before the election, you could feel the stress like ramping up. I was feeling it in my classes. There were so many shootings in that whole year leading up to the election. So anyway, it's important to acknowledge that, you know, the trauma that we feel. It happens, we feel it in the body, we get stressed out in the mind, and we need tools. We need tools and practices to sort of remind us how to come back to our bodies, how to come back to that sense of community, and how to come back to our source, however we define that. So I'm going to do something a little funky and ask everybody to stand up. And you can take off your shoes if you want, but if you're not taking off your shoes, or if you are taking off your shoes, just feel the ground. Just feel the ground. Just kind of bend your knees just a little bit, and just kind of maybe even close your eyes. Let's say just take a big deep breath first, just like yeah, and then just close your eyes and just literally feel the ground underneath your feet, and just feel it. It's just solid. And the earth is there, and we can draw strength from the earth. And whenever you feel like you're too much in your head, you can always just kind of send that energy down into the ground. So just take a minute to breathe and just kind of direct your energy down through your body, down through your feet, down into the earth, and send the earth some good, loving energy. And allow yourself to receive, too. Allow yourself to receive that sense of stability, solid ground, rootedness, rooted in this beautiful land that we've acknowledged. And after you've felt the ground, then kind of feel the energy go back up your whole body and sort of begin to travel up your spine. Close your eyes and then feel that length. Feel yourself sort of growing a little bit taller toward the sky. Feel your crown reach up. Just feel that length for a second. Reaching up to however you define that light. that source of consciousness and awareness. And then just take a minute to think about sort of what is between the ground and your crown, where it all comes together, where that sense of that finite, stable earth comes together with that sense of the infinite, meeting right at your heart. And just kind of feel the sensations there for a second. Because the heart is really where it all comes together, where we feel our humanness with each other, our finite selves and our infinite selves. And how do we express that sense of infinite when we're walking around here on the planet? And in so many wisdom traditions, it's expressed as love. And so just feel the community here and feel that source of love and compassion in your own heart, and that shared sense of community and compassion for each other and for our community and for the whole human family and for the earth. And you can come back to that sense of the heart, the ground, the sky, the light as that source of strength. So just take one more big deep breath just into your heart and then project it out from your heart. Just gently open your eyes when you're ready, knowing that it's always there and that you can draw strength from that, however we define spirit, because we all define spirit in different ways. And it's all good. It's all good and it's all legit. And so however you define that, you can always draw on that source of strength and that source of love. It happens to be extra special for me today because in my particular lineage, in my particular spiritual lineage, I teach Kundalini yoga. Any other Kundalini yogis in the house? Maybe one, maybe two. It happens to be the birthday of the spiritual master of Kundalini yoga who brought this style to the West, kind of my own particular, we call it the golden chain. So it's your ancestors, right? It's your ancestors. You're drawing strength from your own ancestors. And so it's extra special for me to celebrate today on the birthday of my own particular lineage, master in my own lineage. But it's really about you finding that source of strength and holding space for each other to feel and to know that, you know, emotions are going to come up, trauma's going to come up, stress is going to come up, and it's okay. Just feel the ground and support each other and hold the space, and maybe we can do, you know, workshop or an event at some point. It's one of my passions to blend activism and wellness. So thank you for inviting me here, Jenn.
Yay! Thank you.
All right. We're going to have a set of music, and we would like we said, for you to do one thing, which is to get at least one person or more's information. We'd like you to do a couple other things too. We have a poster in the back, and it says skill set. And we talked about this. If you can make tacos, make tacos. If you can do a mural, do a mural, right? If you're a public speaker that makes awful jokes like me, get up and make awful jokes, right? So whatever your skill set is, we would love for you to share it. We have a poster in the back. So if you could share with us what your skill set is. We also have another poster. We're going to be asking people to run for chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. And then we'll also have additional people on a board. So those are things we would love for you to do. We'd love for you to take more food, get to know people, sign up. Also, I have 2 boards back here that say Stop Kavanaugh Because. And we would love for you to fill those out and take a social media picture with it. Again, our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is @Women'sMarchIE. And so that's there, so if you could share that. So those are some things that we're gonna have you do as we're wrapping up and having our party. So I'm gonna have Bobbi Joe kind of close us off and then invite up our music.
All right, everyone, thank you for being here. I know it's hot. That's because you're hot. So speaking of the really, horrible jokes. So I learned one because it was National Joke Day, Tell a Joke Day sometime last week or the week before. And so 3 conspiracy theorists, they walk into a bar. That cannot be a coincidence. All right. So we heard about ACT UP and we heard about our plans moving forward for the Women's March. One of the things that why I was so driven to go to the Women's March here locally is because we need to organize here locally, right? And so the first year, I had no connection at all to any of the organizers. I knew that some of my friends were going to be there. Some of my respected elected officials might be there in the audience and have a chance at the mic. And I went with about 500 flyers to promote what we called a Unity Action Expo. And it was a project of one of my organizations, is Catalina's List. We're a PAC that support growing women leaders from the ground up. To run for office and to build the support team around them. And so, but we knew that we need to get organized, and so Progressive Alliance became one of our projects. And what that was to tie together your issue, your concern, your organization, and this banner could go around the room. Because there are so many issues and items that we need to work on, right? And so when I went the first year, I wanted to promote that. We had a Unity Action Expo with over 35 organizations in a little office building in San Bernardino. About 350 people showed up, and they connected with some of the organizations that were there. The following year, I had the opportunity, because of Jenn Carson, please give her a round of applause again. I had the opportunity to get in on those organizing conversations, and my goal again was to not have folks show up for a day and then go home, but to have them show up and connect with something, the thing, whatever stirred you to actually step out, connect with that, and don't stop. And so my ultimate goal in being there at that organizing table was we need to have an action for folks to take, and we can't be just one, because if that doesn't speak to a person, then they think that's the only choice, and then they go home and maybe either think they have to reinvent the wheel, or maybe think that no one else feels the way that they do. And so we set a goal to have 40 organizations at the Women's March in Riverside last year. We had an expo area off to the side of their speaking, and then we had the expo area. And so those organizations each had a table, sign-up sheets. We registered a couple of hundred folks with in partnership with Latino Voter Registration and Mi Familia Vota. To do voter registration, and then to engage folks and maybe connect with their local people so that the big electoral roll doesn't feel so big, and they know that there are good folks in their own hometown perhaps doing something. So that whatever we decide to do, and whoever feels that they need to step up, and I promise you, as maybe Jenn does, but as for me, I do not seek a leadership role in Women's March, i.e. my plate is full. But I was holding space for 1, 2, 10 dynamic women here, and our women allies here to step forward in leadership. And the only thing that I would ask is that we remember and hope and make sure there's space for something like a Unity Expo at the march, so that all the organizations and all of the movement projects can connect with the, I don't know, let's set a goal, 20,000, 30,000 people that come to our next march. Yes. Something like that. So that's, that's sort of more. 40. How much did San Diego get? No, I'm just kidding. Because we're in over. Okay. So that is what I wanted to just put it out there for you. If you didn't connect with anything that you heard, there are more things going on. And our goal is just to plug you in and really use, leverage the draw that Women's March is touching in women's hearts. Use that to make our community and our world better. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right. Give yourselves a round of applause again for being here today. Again, my name is Bobbi Chavarria, and on behalf of myself and Jenn Carson, who did all the work She did all the work to get you here today. Thank you so much. Do not go home. Eat all the food. Meet your friends and enjoy the music, and let's party. Let's celebrate. Emma Goldman said that if we can't dance in your revolution, I don't want to be a part of it. Yeah. And before we step away, I want to acknowledge a couple of leaders in the room, especially first my friend Shirley Harlan, who is here. She is with the Older Women's League, the League of Women Voters. She was active in 2008. I want to show you guys what leadership looks like. In 2008, she bought a motorhome and a portable microphone podium that could speak to 100 people out in the open so that we could register voters. Right? She knew that. She knew we needed to register voters and we needed to have a change. I don't know if you remember what's happened in 2007, 2008. It was almost as bad as now. Right? So she did that. And she wanted me to make sure y'all knew that two things. Not only is it Women's Equality Day, but under the Constitution, women are still not considered equal. And so we are missing. We are one state short to pass the Equal Rights Amendment. Virginia.
Today, they're introducing it.
They're introducing it today. Magic is happening in the world, and honestly, the beacon of women's potential, American women. When we think of it in the context of the whole world, if we're still not equal, that's a big deal, right? So if you know anybody in Virginia, if you want to do like Emmy and go be an in-state Virginian. Those state legislators need to pass the Equal Rights Amendment, and then finally ingrained in our Constitution, the guiding principles of this country, women will be equal. Is that great?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much again for coming out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's have the music.
So you guys get up, meet one another, become friends, become family, become a tribe.